Okay, how's it going, Shashank? Welcome again.
Yeah,
So we have heard and sort of seen you on one of these live streams in the past as well. You've talked a little bit about how you were using cloud like a maestro and doing a lot of automations to create enhancements and do a lot of PM work that you do. I guess today what we wanted to do is spend 20, 25 minutes talking a little bit more about how you've really kind of scaled out using automations, especially that we have within our product, the snap-ins, the workflows, and so a great many things that ironically you work on, but you actually live on as well. So tell me more about that.
yeah. So, last time we were talking about MCP, and since workflows are also something that I work personally a lot on, both in terms of using it and building the platform, using these kind of automations in the internal operations, so that I, as a person, can scale much better, is something that I always look forward to. For example, internal automations, which are not just very simple, just rudimentary ifs, but also something that can adapt over the time and also give me proactive suggestions while I am doing work inside DevRev.
Yeah, I love it. So I've seen a couple of examples. You showed me, a couple of things that you've been doing, and I asked you to kind of bring it over here so we can look at it as a group. So where do we want to start?
Yeah. So, as product manager, I do a lot of time, QAs and everything that I need to do. And then when I am trying to, create some, work items through some automations, I miss a lot of time getting some, crucial information into it, probably because, it has been created by some automation. So probably we can start how we make sure that an work item that I'm creating,
Yeah.
how it is always have good context. What do you
Yeah,
think?
why don't you pull that up? And while you're
Yeah.
pulling it up, I'll just mention that within DevRev we do a what we call a live on program where the entire team lives on the product or different verticals within the product. And
Mhm.
when we're discussing what we're seeing, what we want to do is make sure that we have the least amount of friction to actually create issues as we see them. And so, even if we're having a conversation, we'll have certain, let's just call them shortcuts and macros that allow you to actually create an issue directly from that conversation. Now, it's going to have the context from the conversation, but you may want to go back and add more information so that it's not insufficient to actually take action on the problem that you saw. And that could include screenshots or attributes or fields that you haven't populated. So let's have a look. What is this workflow doing?
Yeah. So here, what you're seeing here is, kind of a very simple workflow where it basically starts when someone creates an issue, and then we then ask AI to kind of go through all the fields in a particular workflow. Sorry, in the particular work item. Uh, the title, how the body and the description of the work item looks like, what's the priority like,
Yeah.
and who has created the workflow, and then kind of figure out whether it has enough context or not for someone to work on top of it.
Okay. What's interesting here is that you're not necessarily just looking for some deterministic existence or non-existence type information. You're also trying to understand if this is suitable for somebody on the team who you've perhaps described here in this description to actually undertake the task. And so it's some combination of things that you can check and deterministically make a call on, but also making a determination based on some sensibility. So how well is this working? Can we see it in action?
Yeah, sure. So let's kind of see this in a bit. So right now, I'm trying to add a number of cool capabilities in our workflow builder. One of those was, hey, while creating a particular node, I could also define the parameters of that node, or let's say the schema of that node, through a pretty clean schema builder. And I was just stress testing that out. But I was saying that there was a bit of a lot of friction there in terms of saving that. So, and it was getting stuck, so I had just created this particular work item. So shall we create it?
Okay, sure. So basically, there's some esoteric stuff that's going wrong and some experimental work that the team's doing, and you've been playing around with it as the PM, and there's still some issues that you want to
Mhm.
pay some attention to, and you're creating this issue about it. Okay, and of course, you're necessarily being a little bit scarce with the data that you're going to provide because you obviously want to show how the workflow
Yes.
goes. So I get it. Let's go and create it.
Yeah. So let's see what will happen.
All right, so we've got an issue here, and you're basically going to see, okay, interesting. Internal discussion. There's an issue validator. That's, I guess, what you called um,
Yeah.
workflow. So the issue validator is going to say, thanks for creating this issue. So it's going to be very polite, and then it's going to obviously mention your name because it knows that you've created it. And to help
Yeah.
the team triage and resolve efficiently, a few fields need attention. Okay, so title. The title is somewhat vague. So here, again, we're not just talking about the existence or non-existence. Obviously, the title exists. You probably couldn't have even created the issue if you did
Mhm.
not have a title. So that's not the problem. The problem is not the existence of the title. The problem is that it's vague, and so
Mhm.
that's where this is something that perhaps you would have been able to ascertain if you
Yeah.
were actually manually looking at all of these issues by hand, or
Mhm.
if some other manager was doing that. But in this particular case, you're actually just relying on your automation to do it. The body lacks detailed information. Please include relevant content, reproduction steps, etc., etc. Then it starts to point out the target close date not being there. Then it gets into priority not specified, and then of course it gets into the work duration counter. I'm not sure
Mhm.
what the last one is. Can you tell me more about it?
Yeah, so if there is basically, what is basically the amount of time I would think the engineering, would want to spend time on it. So that is just one of the things that we have configured in this particular space.
Okay, and that's a custom attribute. That's not something
Yep.
that everybody would use.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I love it. So this is pretty cool. It basically went through and understood all the different attributes, fields,
Mhm.
selections, and plain text information that's been submitted, and it's making a determination based on what it thinks good looks like. And well, that's actually one of my favorite things about these workflows, these AI workflows, is the fact that you can describe to them what good looks like, and they'll use that description and that understanding, those examples, and it'll actually apply it to whatever you want it to apply it to. Here in this case, we're using it to sort of validate how
Mhm.
robust an issue is that that's actually somebody's created in our system. And now you're putting the onus back on the owner to actually go and make this better. But it could have easily been done by some other team as well.
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
What I like about this is that because it takes action immediately before the team
Mhm.
actually does a triage, let's say a weekly triage, they may already have gone through several back and forths with the person who actually created the issue, and now when it's time to triage or screen the issue, it's already
Mhm.
gone way better. A lot of times, what I've seen is that you get into a weekly triage meeting, and you're having to do exactly this, which is you sit down to look at 10, 12 different issues that have come in, trickled in through the week, and you have to do exactly this, which is point out that the title is not really clear. It's not clear what they want to do. It's not clear when they need it. It's not clear what the priority is. And you have to basically just send a message back to the originator of the issue and say, I'm sorry, I need the following information in order to actually take action. And that feels like you've made progress, but you really haven't made any progress in terms of serving the customer or making the product better. So this actually helps us have several of those sort of multi-turn discussions with the originator of the issue and get it to be in pretty good shape coming into the meeting. In fact, you could have just used this workflow to maybe even set up an attribute to say if it's ready for triage or not ready for triage, and that way the team doesn't have to waste their time on issues that don't quite have all the information needed to actually take the next steps.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I definitely agree that I should add more reproduction steps here. Otherwise, I don't think anyone from my engineering team would be able to make sense of it.
Can we fix these lives? Can you actually take some changes? Like, let's suppose that you got this message, like you did. Can you
Yeah,
actually make some changes here and see if we can get the validator to be happy with us?
yeah, sure. So I can add the change here. So the first step would be, hey, steps to reproduce.
And by the way, while you're typing that, I'll just say that I've seen a lot of companies and I've seen a lot of businesses where people will use templates to make it easier for people to understand what the expectations are. And of course, we could do the same thing here. That does not mean that the person would actually comply every time. And so, you it's not a it could be a good necessary condition maybe for your business for your department, but it's definitely not sufficient to actually make sure that you have full compliance. So this issue validator is I think combined with a good template is a nice 1-2 punch in my view. All right.
Yeah.
So while I was speaking, you gave some steps to reproduce, and yeah, let's give it a priority. I guess it has a priority now. And what else do you need to do? Do you want to give it a target date? And
Let's say that we are going to have a good workshop with one of our customers. Before that, we need to put, right. So right now I have not configured this to also update, like trigger on updates,
Hmm,
but hopefully if I clone this and try to run it again, hopefully it will not say the same thing.
okay, got it. So fair enough. So
Yeah.
just for demo purposes, but we get the gist of it.
Yeah.
Sounds good. What else did you want to show us?
Yeah. So also one of the things that I also personally, really want at the start of my day is that, hey, what are some of the key things that has happened across my customers, across the team that have been working on different work items, right?
Hmm.
And imagine, I'm getting kind of a summary of some of the key topics that I really would want to, uh, you know, uh, 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 would want to subscribe to in a sense, right? So
Yeah.
this is kind of that workflow. So this is every day, probably in the morning it runs, and then it asks a particular agent that, hey, give me some actionable summary, and looking into our own knowledge graph, and the kind of prompt that I have given to it, and then send me a particular Slack message. So this is kind of that particular workflow. Very simple to set up, and I think I'm getting some value out of it right now. To be honest, I think a lot of personalization I need to do it for myself and to improve the prompt for this summary agent. But yeah, that's where I am on this one.
Okay. Can we actually click on that Ask Agent for Summary? Because it sounds like most of the meat is in that one, in that
Yeah.
specific node. So what is it?
So this is So this is a particular action which is calling a particular agent with some message. Hey, create the daily today's actionable summary. Don't put a lot of XML tags, something like that, because I had seen it doing it sometimes.
Okay.
And the meat of it is basically here, in this particular assistant that is created for me,
Hmm.
where I give it a bit more detailed instructions into how to search across our knowledge graph, how to use some of the tools to get more context about these objects. So as you can see, it has some tools to get more context for a particular object, and then also have knowledge about all these different objects that are there in the system right now.
Hmm. That's really wonderful. Can we see it in action?
Yeah. So it is a scheduled one. So let's see the one that I got today. So this is something that it is looking at right now, and I'm also trying to work on it and make it a little bit more crisper. But I do know now that someone has started to work on AST filters, which was something internally was something that I was looking forward to. And these dashboard filters, there are some critical issues. I do know this was related to one of the you know uh, critical go live customers that they wanted it for. So yeah, I can go through more, and do you want to also go through it?
I'm reading through it. I'm looking at it. I mean, it looks like it's got a lot of information. I don't know if this is not actually your final version, right? I mean, you're still working
Yeah.
on it. So how do you actually make these better? How do you make it a little more personalized for yourself? I mean,
Yeah.
it looks to be giving you a lot of good information. Obviously, it sure beats having to go and make all those clicks happen. You kind of get a good overview to begin with. What does better look like for you in this case?
Yeah. You're right. So this is basically something that I do care about, but could be personalized a little bit more, right?
Mhm.
So now how do we do a little bit more of personalization? So at least for me, I do care about, hey, how to basically, I do care about a few more keywords like integrations, workflows, automations, stuff like that. So probably I can try, changing the skill here such that it is more personalized for my keywords, and then we can, try testing it out. What do you think?
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, cool. So here in this section here, I'm giving it basically an instruction to go through different, chats, customer issues, tickets, and whatnot. But I can be a little bit more specific that, hey,
You're basically saying you got to be a little more specific around a few of the topics that I care about, and those are workflows, integrations. What's the last one? MCP, AI agents. Okay, so basically you're saying, listen, yeah, when you get these specific terms, be a way more specific. Okay, and it's that simple. You just added a
yeah,
sentence, and you're going to get better results. Okay, go through the customer tickets. Okay, specifically. Fantastic. So you're just saying voice of customer is going to matter to you quite a bit.
yeah.
And what's the last thing you're saying? Oh, you look through opportunities. So you're looking for some things that are a little more forward looking.
Yeah, yeah. So I need both the current and the prospective customers.
Basically. Okay. Basically, what you're saying is because we understand not just prospective needs, but we are also understanding what the existing customers are clamoring about. You're saying be very specific about both of those things. And then, of course, keep a keen eye out for those words that I care about, specifically agents, AI, workflows, automations,
Yeah,
MC, and so on. Okay. So you've saved this. Are we going to see a new version of this, or should we just kind of move on?
yeah. So of course we can have this workflow which is right now scheduled, but I in real time also we can kind of test it out.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay, so this is the cool part about it. Obviously, you want this to run on a daily schedule, but since you've effectively built an assistant agent here and you actually made a change, you actually want to see that change reflect before you say, yes, I'm done with this. So you're going to use this, let's call it a quasi playground environment that's side by side here, and
yeah,
you're going to get an update. So this might take a few seconds, I guess.
yeah, a few seconds.
Oh, that was quick. So let's look at this daily summary. You know what would be cool is if we took the previous summary and this summary and see if it actually gave you more. Although, frankly, I can see it's very obvious to me. The key metrics are all related to things that you cared about or you specifically said you cared about. In
Mhm.
fact, everything is leaning more heavily towards the type of keywords that you talked about.
Mhm.
Okay, so
And
that did take effect.
yeah. So if we side by side, this and basically this. Now with just a few lines of changes,
Mhm.
it's much more personalized.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, obviously you can keep tuning it, and you don't have to wait for the next day or the next day to actually see the results. You can actually just go trigger it right here in this playground and see if you like it. If you like it, then just save it and you're done.
Yeah,
Awesome,
yeah, yeah,
lovely. This seems pretty useful, and I know we're working on some things that are related to this at a larger scale. But I like what you're doing here.
yeah.
I think you had one more thing you wanted to show me. What was that?
Yeah. So I also wanted to show, one, particular workflow that, I was also trying to, collaborate with our, support team. So
Mhm.
these are some of the workflows that I had created for myself, my productivity, and for my team. But, our support team is also, trying to scale a lot more and very efficiently, right? So how do they do that, right? So they are getting a lot of customer requests, bugs, features from different channels, and the moment they see it, it has already gone through a lot of automations, right? Routing has already been done, severity is already there. But one thing that was very interesting for me, that came out through the collaboration with our support team, was basically this particular workflow. So, and this is also, kind of an example of a little bit more proactive agents, where you're not just always talking through chat, but it is working on you behind the scenes to help you.
Mhm.
So in this example, ticket has been created, right? And then, it basically, pauses for a minute or so, I think for a few seconds, because we have a lot of different automations running, and I think the support team wanted it to, this particular workflow to run after a little bit time,
Mhm.
right? That is there. And then this is an automation to, get more information about the ticket, right? And then it basically, sees whether that ticket is a bug or not. If it is a bug, it again, asks a particular agent, and it has, a very good personalized, kind of, a query that goes that, hey, this is the title, this is the body of that particular ticket, right?
Yep.
And then this is, by the way, a bug, and give me some next best good actions that I need to do to be able to resolve this, right?
Yep.
So this is there. And it also tries to find out some relevant tickets, right? If there are not, very similar relevant tickets, the agent also gives it that. Then at the end, these actions, these basically that particular message gets posted on ticket itself. And one cool thing is, it also, kind of gets seen by some users only, so
Mhm.
that basically, not everyone is bombarded with next best actions, because only few people in the team needs to kind of see this particular one.
Got it. So it's not gonna clutter the timeline of the resolution. What I like about this is, I mean, you can see it because we're starting to bring more and more sensibility to these automations, and as we do that, we're gonna get faster time to resolution because we're trading off human labor with GPUs, of course, and then of course you're getting lower cost of action, right? Because so much of this work that's otherwise left to humans, and it's probabilistic, and could take time and could take people, and now it's getting done automatically at scale. And if you like the results of it, you can expand it so that everybody gets to see what's going on. And if you don't, you can experiment with it and have a few people just kind of continue to tinker with it. And you can make it so that it's only visible to a small set of people that will actually want to tune it, get some advantages from it, and if it's useful, then of course grow it. So can we see this in action? I mean, it looks like a very interesting debugging automation. Have you seen it being applied to a specific ticket from a customer?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So let me just, change screens a bit, because I need to do something so that uh, I can now see those private comments. So just a minute.
Okay, yes, of course.
Just,
We'll give you a second there.
yeah.
So Shashank, do you always sit in the same room for these, or do you like pick a different one just to, or is there some kind of superstition?
Yeah, I like to be in the same room.
Okay, okay, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to be pulling up a ticket. I guess you're securing some information, but then you're going to show me a ticket, and you're going to show me how that actually,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah. There's some serious redaction happening right now live.
So just a minute. So it has a sleep for, so just a minute. Hmm. This.
For those of you who know the perils of screen sharing, you can understand and empathize with what's going on here. Shashank needs to make sure that what goes on the internet stays on the internet. So you got to be real careful here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just a minute. Yep.
All right. For those who waited patiently, now you get to see this thing in action. We're gonna get to see Shashank's screen once more. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to take it and walk us through this.
Yeah. So I just, created this particular ticket. Basically, I cloned a very new one, which is, basically a real, basically a ticket which I have created, right?
Mm,
And I will for sure delete it the moment I do it because it will affect our numbers.
of
As
course.
you can see, I have just created it, and then that particular workflow has ran, right? And now it has also given me a particular comment now that, hey, by the way, this particular ticket is a bug, which talks a little bit about process improvements for the AI agent tuning, but feels like that this is a particularly low severity ticket, which it has also updated it here,
Mhm.
and it is also giving me reasoning. So it kind of gives me how to now see particularly this particular ticket, and in which amount of time I wouldn't want to spend on it, because right away it is now a low severity ticket, so I
Mhm.
may not spend right away very much amount of time on this. So this can be helps a lot in my triaging already.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, obviously, I mean, it sounds pretty trivial, but we've seen
Mhm.
it when as we onboard more customer success, customer support folks. There's often some inconsistencies in terms of how we grade whether something is low severity, medium severity, high severity, so on and so forth, even a blocker. Now, what about the debugging part? You talked about debugging, but this seems like it's mostly just telling me about severity.
Yeah, yeah. So I think this is one of those messy data that we have seen there. So I think in those prompts that we have written that, hey, if it is already a bit low
Yeah.
severity, then don't even go ahead and uh, go do those tool calls of fetching more context about that data,
Mm,
about this particular ticket, and spend a lot of tool execution.
okay.
So that just basically there. Look.
Got it. Okay, so what you're telling me is that the actual debugger, let's call it, is actually not even executing because this thing is a low severity ticket.
Yeah, yeah,
Can we force it to trigger somehow by making this a high or something like that, or
yeah.
not to be done today?
So I think I'll need to debug that a little bit more.
Oh man, okay, that's fine. That's fine. We'll have to have you over. This is how you make sure you have another session with us, I guess.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, so we've spent a good 25 minutes together. Any sort of final words from you, Shashank, before we see you again?
Yeah, so I think particularly these automation seems trivial because you just see these prompts here and there. But think about it this way: just these severities or just those daily summaries, how hard it would be, even let's say 7 8 months or a year back, in your normal workflow builders, where you what at max you have is simple if else conditions, or at max some code you can execute it. Now with these native out of the box AI native nodes which can go through your object context, go through your knowledge graph, right, and semantically search through relevant tickets to give you a very contextual priority, to give you a very contextual summary that you would want, was kind of actually not at all we were able to achieve before, and now we are able to highly leverage it. So that has helped a lot in our velocity.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I also appreciate your courage to come over here and kind of show us a little bit about how the sausage is made. Obviously, you're working with where we're talking about somebody who's actually using these products and trying to demonstrate it in a safe and secure way. So thank you again for joining us and walking us through that. And hopefully what we can do is maybe share with the community over Discord or elsewhere some of these templates and some of these instructions that you showed, because some of these things people would love to see examples just to get going. And folks, if you saw something that you liked, please just message us on Discord, and we'd love to continue to energize the community. And if we've shown you something that you want to get more information around, we're here and available on Discord as well. So thanks a lot, Shashank, and thank you for everybody who joined us. I appreciate your time. We'll see you next time.